I do see Studio Q's in the chat right now with his avatar that I think Nintendo Ultra made for him. The story behind that avatar is that he doesn't really try any of the single player games, so I remember, or like the RPGs. He's more into like the sports and like I think action stuff, right? Am I thinking right? Yeah. So you made him stuff to like take a look at things like Xenoblade and things like that. So his question is who has the most pressure to deliver at E3 this year? And I'll start with Philip actually on this one.
Oh man, that's a great question. It's really close, but honestly, I think most of the pressure here at E3 is from Microsoft. And I think that it's because we're all kind of waiting to see what sort of first-party titles they have to offer. And right now, their lineup is really slim with the Scorpio coming out very soon, or, its full announcement coming out, and then, probably a holiday release, obviously. I think that Microsoft is sort of ill-prepared, or at least they seem ill-prepared to release a brand new console. But then again, it's E3, and perhaps they have a bunch of cards up their sleeve that we haven't seen before, like 343's whatever announcement is happening. So maybe that's going to be something big for Scorpio, and we can connect those dots later. But for now, I think Microsoft definitely has a lot to kind of show us to really make us believe in them and believe in Scorpio.
Sure. Let me jump over to Evan here. Who do you think out of the big three, Evan, would have the most pressure on them?
Out of the big three, I mean, I guess it's still Microsoft, because we've been talking about this forever, how they haven't even been hinting at something incredible until this 343 thing popped up. We didn't really feel like there was something major coming up that we didn't already know about. But I do also think from our past conversations, to try to maintain their speed, Nintendo's also going to be fairly pressured to at least announce something that isn't like a derailing action. Like if they announce a game that nobody wants, that they think they might want, it would be horrible for them at that point, although it probably wouldn't be as bad as Microsoft just being like, here's our Scorpio. That's about it.
Yeah. What about what do you think, Nintendo Ultra?
Well, it's definitely not Sony, because I mean Sony is kind of they kind of winning right now. They pretty much are. Okay, they got like 60 million sold with the PS4 right now. Nintendo a little bit, just a tiny bit. I mean the Switch is doing well. What is that right now? Like what, 2 point something million right now?
I have to imagine right now at the Switch, probably into the May. I have a feeling it's at least at 3.5 million. At least it's probably maybe closer to like 4 at this point.
Yeah, so I think I would have to say Microsoft as well, because I mean, we kind of really haven't seen the Scorpio as much. Not really sure what it really is about. We know it's like gonna be like 4K and stuff, but still, so we kind of need to see that. So I would say Microsoft, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Let me see. We went around Evan, and talk to Philip. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if I had to take a pick out of the three, I'm going to go with Nintendo. I think Nintendo does have the most pressure on them going in to E3. I'm going to tell you why. The big thing here is we, as a gaming community, have now built Nintendo up with rumors and expectations that I am concerned that they cannot meet, because if Pokemon Stars does not get announced, for example, before or at E3, even though they have never promised it to us, people are going to be disappointed. If Metroid is not announced, people are going to be disappointed. And even if they announce great games, maybe something cool happens and they announce it, everyone's still going to say, well, where's Metroid and where's Pokemon? Now, if they are both there, that's great. But that's still a lot of pressure, I think, on Nintendo to have a massive E3, because Sony is kind of smart right now in that they're laying very low, and there are low expectations even for their E3 at this point. So that if they have a decent E3, it's considered good for them. Again, they don't have to, because they have, like you were saying, Calvin, 60 million units out there, right? There's no pressure on them to push and buy games, but they're still doing it. Call of Duty is going to have some exclusive content, for example, for Sony. I think I know Yakuza's over there. They have obviously there's a bunch of what I know. There was one you were playing, Calvin. The name escapes me right now. Was it Nier?
Yeah, Nier.
Yeah. And what was the other one? Neo?
Yeah, Neo.
Am I saying that right? Yeah. So there's a lot of games that are showing up on Sony's platform that aren't available on Microsoft. So they don't even have to do, they can sit back with their feet up and watch Microsoft and Nintendo try to win E3 on their own. And I think Nintendo, though, has to come to the table with a lot of stuff that looks good. And Microsoft is showing up with a console. So by default, they already jump up as what a lot of people consider a good E3 because they're showing off new hardware, especially hardware that should at least push the gaming, I guess, hardware in as a whole of forward, because it's 4K, native 4K and everything. But Nintendo is going to show up with what is obviously the PS4 Pro, Scorpio, the weakest console power-wise, so they have to make up with the good games. If they don't bring the good games, people are going to look down on it as being a bad E3. So pressure's there for Nintendo by far, I think, out of all three.